The old fairgrounds were a graveyard of rust and decay, a place where joy had long since rotted away. But some places don't let go of their memories, especially the ones that were never meant to be happy. This is the story of the carnival that never left, a place where the laughter still echoes, long after the last visitor went home. Tonight we explore the tale of the clown under the tent. The big top tent collapsed years ago, its vibrant colors bleached by the sun and tattered by the wind. It was a carcass of canvas and splintered wood, a monument to forgotten fun. But every midnight, if you stood close enough, you could hear it. A faint, hollow laughter that seemed to echo from beneath the collapsed structure, a sound that promised anything but amusement. Most locals knew to stay away, to let the dead carnival sleep. But Arman was not most locals. He was a skeptic, a thrill-seeker drawn to the stories like a moth to a flame he couldn't believe was real. One moonless night, driven by a dare he'd made with himself, Arman approached the ruins. The air grew cold, thick with the smell of damp earth and stale popcorn. He found a large torn flap in the canvas, a gaping mouth leading into the unknown. With a deep breath, he lifted it. Inside was a profound, suffocating darkness. But it wasn't empty. A single bright red balloon floated eerily in the center of the void, perfectly still, as if held by an invisible string. It was unnatural, a splash of impossible color in a world of gray and black. Just as he was about to dismiss it as a strange trick of the wind, a clown's giggle, thin and sharp, pierced the silence. It wasn't a happy sound. It was the sound of a spring coiling too tight, of a smile stretched into a grimace. Then, deep within the darkness beyond the balloon, two glowing eyes blinked open. They weren't animal eyes. They were fiercely, terrifyingly intelligent. They fixed on him, pinning him to the spot. A voice, raspy and filled with a dreadful ancient glee, whispered from the shadows. "You came back." The voice was a discordant melody of joy and malice. "We've been waiting. The show must go on." A chill that had nothing to do with the night air crawled up Arman's spine. This was real. This was a nightmare he had foolishly walked into. He tried to step back, to pull away from the cursed tent, but it was too late. His feet felt rooted to the spot. He looked down and screamed. Hands were erupting from the soil beneath him, grabbing his legs in an iron grip. They were not normal hands. They were covered in cracked white paint, with red-tipped fingers that dug into his flesh like talons. Painted hands. Clown hands. They pulled him down, down into the soft earth, the smell of decay filling his lungs. His last sight was of those two glowing eyes, watching with malevolent delight as the ground swallowed him whole, the faint, chilling giggle being the last thing he ever heard. The next morning, the sun rose over the silent fairgrounds. Everything was as it had been. The collapsed tent, the whispering wind, the scent of decay. The only thing different was a single crimson-red balloon floating serenely above the ruins where Arman had last stood. It bobbed gently in the breeze, a silent testament to the show that had indeed gone on. Thanks for watching. The Cursed Carnival has more stories to tell, more horrors waiting in the shadows. If you want to hear them, make sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Stay safe, and whatever you do, don't listen for the laughter.